Now, of course, as we all know, the 91 regular season, you guys finished with losing two of your last three games. You finished the season 8-3. You still made the Sugar Bowl, but of course, we all know the story with people. A lot of people are saying you guys didn't deserve to be there. You were going to get destroyed by the Florida Gators, and of course, there was Coach Holtz and the whole Cheerios Bowl thing. Um, what was the build up to that Sugar Bowl like for you guys, and hearing all those negative reports in the media?
Well, all that did was excite us and fire us up because we knew the kind of when you play and practice against people like Chris George and Michael Stonebreaker and Todd Light, and I can name the guys going on. When you practice those guys every day, you know how good you are. You know how good your team is. We're a phenomenal team. There was reasons we lost some games, but when you put the body of work that we did in 4 years, or if you take a 6 or 7 year period from let's say 1987 or 88 before I got there until 1993 or 94, you can name off players from those teams, and people will be like, "Wow! Like, are you kidding me? You played with Jerome Bettis, you played with Rodney Coach, you played with all these names you name off." At the end of the day, when we played that game against Florida, we knew we were a better football team than them. We knew we were going to give them, if nothing else, a run for their money, but we ended up beating the brakes off of them, obviously. No different than we played my senior year against Texas A&M, and we beat them by about 40 points. We're a good football program, and we knew that we could go out there and compete with anybody. And when they said that we didn't belong in that bowl cave, we knew one thing: we were to prove everybody wrong, and that's exactly what we did.
And yeah, yes, you guys did. And I have some Florida fans that'll probably see this and not be happy, but personally, I don't care. Now, obviously, 8-3 wouldn't get you a major bowl bid today, unfortunately, with the way the system works. But yeah, you guys proved that you deserve to be there, and you beat one of the best teams in the country. And the follow up question that I have to that is, of course, in the game itself. I mean, when people look at the '92 Sugar Bowl, they automatically think Jerome Bettis, the bus, and the game that he had. I think it was 3 touchdowns and 140 yards on the ground. But what gets overshadowed by that is you actually had a nice performance yourself in that game. I believe like 7 catches for 75 yards and a key touchdown in that game. So tell me, Irv, what was that like to be able to do that and to play on that kind of stage, which, as we all know, the Sugar Bowl is one of the most prestigious stages in college football.
Well, what most people don't know this, and this might be one of the first times I've actually said this publicly on the air, because it really didn't have a lot of value as far as what ended up happening. But the Sugar Bowl is what changed my life. I was a football, baseball player at Notre Dame. I played baseball under Coach Pat Murphy, and my first 2 years at Notre Dame, I played on the baseball team, which took away from time preparing for football. So every year after the bowl game, I would go back to Notre Dame, and I would actually play baseball until spring football, and then during spring football, I'd do football and baseball, and I kind of split time. Well, I had a pretty good game in the Sugar Bowl, and I finished the game up, and I got on a plane. I flew back home to New Jersey before I flew to Notre Dame to go back to school, and I was planning on going back to school and playing baseball again. And on my plane ride from New Orleans to New Jersey, it hit me. It said, "Irv, it's time for you to give baseball up and focus on football." Because I had such a good game, and I loved baseball, but I was a better football player. And that moment made me realize, for the first time in my life, it was time to give up baseball. And I'm telling you right now, after that performance in the Sugar Bowl for me, the 7 catches, 70-some yards, touchdown, that's what made me decide to give baseball up, go football full time, and make that run to be a first-round draft pick, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow. That's pretty.
That's literally exclusive information that I just shared to share on your show. That I've never shared the whole story with anybody in the last 30 years. That's literally the true story.
Well, if that's the case, then we are pretty honored and privileged to hear that information.
Well, the question you asked is what prompted the answer, because no one's ever really asking the question that way. And when you asked me that question, it made me realize, as I thought about the answer, that Sugar Bowl is what that performance. I always remember the touchdown. Like, the one thing I remember about that game is the touchdown, but I didn't always think about the other catches. You know, you don't catch 10 touchdowns in a game, but you might catch some passes. But the thing that everybody always remembers is the touchdown. But the other catches are just as important, if not more important, than that touchdown is. And when you asked that question and brought up those facts, it made me finally realize a big part of that game was not just that touchdown, it was those additional catches that helped me get my hands on that ball and start really realizing that this was my life, this was my sport, this was my thing, and being a professional NFL tight end was really my long-term goal. And I made a decision after that game to literally put all my eggs in one basket, to stop playing around with baseball and to go play football.